Hi, I'm Don Dawson. Today we're going to discuss a hazard we often don't think about when we come to work in a healthcare facility: fire. How you can help guard against it and keep yourself and others safe if one occurs. Ever since humans learned to control fire, it's helped us to do a lot of good things. It's kept us warm when we were cold, cooked our food when we were hungry, and created light when it was dark. But when it gets out of control, fire can be devastatingly destructive to property and lethal to people. Every year in the U.S., more than 1 million fire emergencies are reported, over 5,000 of them in healthcare facilities. They cause injuries, deaths, and more than $45 million in damage. In this program, we're going to discuss fire hazards in healthcare facilities, how fires can start, and how to put them out. We'll also discuss what you can do to prevent fires and keep patients, co-workers, and yourself safe if one does occur. To burn, a fire needs 3 ingredients: fuel, oxygen, and heat. The fuel is any material that will burn. Fuels can include combustible solids, such as wood, paper, cardboard, and some metals. Flammable and combustible liquids, such as gasoline, isopropyl alcohol, and some cleaning and disinfectant solutions. Ignitable gases, such as propane and anesthetic gases. Next, a fire must be in an environment where there is oxygen that it can breathe. The more oxygen a fire has, the better it will burn, which is why fanning a fire makes it flare up. The third element that a fire needs is heat, a source of ignition, such as a burning match or an electric spark, that lights it and keeps it burning. In a healthcare facility, potential sources of ignition can include a smoldering cigarette butt, an overloaded electrical circuit, a coffee pot on a cluttered desk. Once a fire has started, it will continue as long as there is fuel and oxygen to feed it. Left to itself, it will burn bigger and hotter until it gets out of control. All the fire requires is fuel, oxygen, and heat. But when you remove any one of these ingredients, the fire goes out. To put out most fires, you apply some type of retardant, like water, baking soda, or sand. That will reduce its heat or deprive it of fuel or oxygen. But not all fires are alike. Depending on the types of materials that are burning and where the fire is located, using the wrong fire retardant can make a bad situation even worse. For example, water does a great job of putting out a fire in a pile of cardboard. But if you pour water on burning liquids, it will spread the fire further. And since water conducts electricity, somebody could get electrocuted if you use it on a fire that is burning in or around electrical equipment. To make it easier to distinguish between different types of fires and determine what substances should be used to extinguish them, fires have been divided into classes. Class A fires involve everyday solid combustibles like paper and wood. These can be extinguished with water. Class B fires involve flammable gases, liquids, and some plastics. They are usually extinguished by applying chemical foams. Fires fueled by materials such as isopropyl alcohol, cleaning supplies, disinfectants, and anesthetic gases that are commonly used in healthcare facilities are all Class B fires. Class C fires involve electricity and can occur in medical equipment, light fixtures, fuse boxes, electrical wiring, and receptacles. These are fought by smothering them with non-conductive substances, which deprives them of oxygen.
Class D fires involve combustible metals and can be dangerous to extinguish. You're not likely to encounter a Class D fire in a healthcare environment, but if you do, don't attempt to put it out yourself.
When a fire occurs, you need to respond quickly and effectively. Your employer has developed an emergency action plan to help everyone in your facility prepare for such an incident.
The plan discusses how to report a fire, who should fight a fire, how to ensure patient safety, and more. It can be tough to think clearly when the alarm bell rings. Emergencies can be confusing as well as frightening. But you can prepare now to do the right thing under pressure by remembering the acronym RACE. The word spells out the steps you should follow in responding to a fire emergency. Rescue, alarm, confine, extinguish. Rescue is the top priority. It means getting patients out of the danger area and into a safe location. The next task is to check that the emergency alarm has been activated and that 911 has been called. Then you should ensure that the fire is confined, that is, shut away from the rest of the facility wherever possible. Even small fires can create a lot of smoke and toxic gases. They can be very dangerous to anyone who breathes them and need to be prevented from spreading throughout the building. You can shut them out by closing as many doors as possible. If your facility is equipped with automatic fire doors, check that nothing has prevented them from closing completely. You should also shut down the ventilation system to prevent it from spreading smoke through the facility or feeding the fire with fresh air. Only after these steps have been accomplished should you think about trying to extinguish a fire. Healthcare facilities are required to be equipped with fire extinguishers, but don't attempt to use one unless you have been trained how. Leave firefighting to the professionals instead.
In an office building or industrial facility, evacuation usually means moving everyone to a safe area outside. But in most healthcare environments, this procedure is not practical or safe.
Patients who are in immediate danger from smoke or fire should be removed from the hazard area to a safe refuge location, usually on the same floor. Patients or residents who are too frail or unwell to be moved and are not in immediate danger may be defended in place. With this approach, they can remain in their rooms while nurses or other designated support personnel care for them. Patients who are ambulatory should be directed to take themselves to the safe refuge area. It's important for patients and residents to see that you're in control of the situation during an emergency. You can set a good example for them and your coworkers by remaining calm. Be prepared to assist visitors as well. Help them leave the facility by an approved evacuation route. Take the time now to learn at least 2 escape routes from your work areas. In an emergency, knowing a second way out can literally be a lifesaver if the primary route has somehow been blocked. If your emergency plan requires you to eventually evacuate the building, a few safe practices will help you and others get out safely. First, keep the evacuation orderly. Walk, do not run. Never use elevators to get out of a building in an emergency. If the power fails, you could be trapped inside. Use the stairs instead. If you come to a closed door, feel it before opening it. Doors that are warm or hot to the touch probably have smoke and flames behind them. Do not open them. If a door is cool to the touch, you can proceed through, but remember to close it behind you to keep the fire contained. If you have to pass through smoky areas, remember that smoke rises. You can avoid inhaling it by getting as low as possible. Crawl on the floor if necessary. Breathing through a damp cloth will also help. When you get outside, proceed to the assembly area designated in your emergency action plan and report yourself safe.
The best way to fight fire is to prevent it from starting in the first place. To do this, your company has created a written fire prevention plan.
The plan includes a list of potential fire hazards and ignition sources in your facility, as well as policies and procedures for preventing fires from starting. Stacks of empty boxes in a storage closet, scattered papers at the nurse's station, piles of laundry in washing areas. All of these are fires waiting to happen. But good housekeeping can fight clutter and the fire hazards that it creates. So inspect your workspace regularly, dispose of all litter, and keep the area neat and orderly. Careless smoking can often provide a source of ignition for any fuels that are present. So smoking policies typically require people to light up outside, away from the building, or in a designated fire-safe area. A fire prevention plan also establishes standard procedures for safe handling of flammable and combustible materials that are used on site. We've seen that isopropyl alcohol is a highly flammable liquid. Many hand cleansers, disinfectants, and pre-moistened antiseptic pads that are used in healthcare facilities are also flammable because they contain isopropyl alcohol. Your fire prevention plan will describe how you can safely store, use, and dispose of these materials. Anesthetic gases such as fluoroxine, diethyl ether, and ethylene are flammable gases that can ignite when exposed to heat, sparks, or flames. Two other gases used in healthcare, oxygen and nitrous oxide, known as laughing gas, are oxidizers. While they're not flammable, they can enrich the atmosphere with oxygen so that fires ignite more easily and burn more intensely. Follow the safe work practices described in your facility's fire prevention plan when working with or around these gases.
Healthcare facilities use a lot of electrically powered equipment. Although these devices have been designed to work safely, the electricity that powers them can become a source of ignition when the equipment becomes worn or damaged or is used unsafely.
To prevent electrical hazards from causing fires in your facility, make a habit of inspecting all electrical equipment before you plug it in. Look for any wear, damage, or missing parts. Examine power cords for torn, frayed, or cracked insulation, exposed metal wires, or missing ground prongs. If you see these or other types of damage, don't use the equipment, get a replacement, and notify your supervisor. Patients and visitors sometimes bring shavers, hair dryers, coffee makers, radios, and other electrical appliances with them from home. These devices can cause a fire if they are used carelessly, so they should not be allowed in patient rooms without official approval. Overloaded electrical circuits are another common fire hazard. A circuit becomes overloaded when it's forced to carry more current than it can safely handle, often because too many devices are plugged into a single outlet. This can cause the wiring that supplies power to the outlet to heat up and start a fire. If you notice an outlet that's crowded with plugs, bring it to your supervisor's attention immediately. One way overloads can be prevented is by not using power strips or other multi-plug adapters when connecting equipment to receptacles. If an extension cord can't handle the amount of current that is being drawn by the device it's connected to, it can overload as well. So make sure any extension cord you use is rated for the amount of power it will have to carry.
We've seen that the fire hazards in healthcare facilities can be serious, but there are steps we can all take to prevent fires from starting and to reduce the impact they have on our workplace and the people in it. Let's review.
In order to burn, fires must have fuel, oxygen, and heat. Removing any one of these elements will extinguish the fire. You should understand the fire hazards that can be created by various types of combustible and flammable materials. Make sure you are familiar with your employer's fire prevention plan. Eliminate potential sources of ignition from your facility, such as unsafe appliances and overloaded electrical circuits. If a fire emergency does occur, remember RACE: rescue, alarm, confine, extinguish. Make sure you know at least 2 evacuation routes from your work area. In a fire emergency, remain calm, move patients to a safe refuge, and follow your facility's evacuation procedures.
Now that you know how fires can start, how to prevent them, and how to respond effectively if one does occur, you could help your patients and your coworkers to stay safe every day.